Today I wanted to show you guys how I make my own wings at home. These are a little bit healthier than what you would get at a restaurant like Wingstop. They are a little bit crispier than what you would get from there, and they are just so easy to make. Just a little while in the air fryer, they are crispy and they are juicy on the inside. And the nice thing is you get to flavor them however you want at home. I have made a garlic Parmesan butter just like they have at Wingstop. I've put barbecue sauce on some, and then I have some plain, but I've seasoned them just a little bit. You'll see what seasonings I put in the video here. But these come together so quickly and everybody always loves these. These are always a win in my book. So the very first thing we want to do is just prep our chicken wings. I get these kind of whole chicken wings from my grocery store. This is the little drumette, the little flat piece of the wing, and then this little, I don't know, end piece of the wing that you don't get from your local wing place. They always cut that bit off. That part's pretty easy to cut off. You really just want to find the joint that is there, and you're just going to end up cutting kind of right through the joint. You should kind of be able to feel it with your fingers where it starts to open up like a hinge, and then just cut right through it. It comes off super easy. This part I think is a little bit more complicated because you've got all of this skin here through the middle. I like to stretch out the skin, and then I like to slice the skin along the drumette part of the wing. I want most of the skin to stay with the flat part of the wing. And then it's actually kind of the exact same thing. You're just feeling for the joint. And I like to do a little bit of a slice and then kind of stretch it open a little bit, and you'll see the bones are already separating. The only thing holding this together is skin and cartilage. And then you just kind of keep going and keep stretching and then go right through. And that's it. You've got a flat and a drumette. Super, super easy. And I'm just going to do that to all of my wings here to get them prepped for cooking. All right, my wings are all cut up into their individual flats and drumettes. Now I just want to give these a really quick dry with a paper towel. The drier your wings are, the crispier they'll be when they come out of the air fryer. Make sure my bowl is nice and dry. All right, my wings are all dry. I've got these little wing tips here that if you are making a chicken broth or a bone broth or something, these would be a fantastic addition. The fat from the skin, and then of course you've got the bone in the middle, which would make a great addition to any sort of broth that you're making. I'm going to go ahead and throw these in a Ziploc bag and put them in my freezer, and maybe I'll use them for some sort of soup a little bit later in the year. For our seasoning, I want to keep it really simple, but I still want to add some good flavor because we are going to be keeping some of these plain. So I'm going to go ahead and just start with some olive oil. The oil will help the spices stick, but then it'll also help it kind of crisp up in the air fryer a little bit. I'm going to add, this is for 14 wings. I'm going to add probably about a teaspoon of salt to the entire thing, probably a little less than a teaspoon. About the same amount of garlic powder, a little bit less onion powder, maybe half a teaspoon, and then probably about half a teaspoon of paprika as well. And then I just want to give that a mix and make sure everything is really nicely coated. All right, and I can see everything is coated nicely. My spices are mixed together over each piece. I'm just going to lay these out in my air fryer. And this doesn't have to be totally perfect. I know, kind of one of the big rules is don't overcrowd, but I tend to overcrowd and it works out. It works out pretty okay every time. I think the most important thing for me is that everything fits in a single layer. If you're doubling up in your layers, then maybe you've got a few too many in there. And I am kind of starting these with skin side up for what I can do that with. But everything's in one layer. There's a tiny little space, a little bit of space in between each wing, but I think this will be fine. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in my air fryer. I'm gonna start it at 350, probably for about 6 minutes, and then I'm gonna check on it and see how it's doing from there. I think it's gonna take probably about 20 minutes total in the air fryer for this many wings. My wings were in the air fryer for about 10 minutes at 350, and I can see that they're cooking, which is perfect. They're probably about halfway cooked now. So now we really want to focus on getting them crispy. My air fryer goes up to 400 degrees. So I'm going to throw this in at 400. I'm kind of just giving everything a flip right now. I'm going to throw these in at 400 degrees for probably 5 minutes, and then I'll flip them and get the skin side back up for the next 5 minutes. In the meantime, I am going to melt half a stick of butter and about a tablespoon or so of this jarred garlic in just in a pan on the stove on pretty low heat. I just want to kind of let it simmer a little while, just until I can really smell that garlic coming through, and then we're going to add some Parmesan cheese to it. My wings have been in the air fryer for about 5 minutes at 400 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and just flip them back over so the skin side is up again. And I can already see they're starting to get a little bit crispy, but they're not anywhere near as crispy as I want them to be. So I'm going to throw them back in, but this time I think I'm going to put them in for a little bit longer. I'm going to keep with the 400 degrees. Maybe I'll start them at 7 minutes, and then we'll kind of go from there. My air fryer is just about done, so I want to finish up my garlic Parmesan butter. I used unsalted butter, so I'm going to go ahead and add in about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then because I was using jarred garlic, I want it just to be a tiny bit more garlicky. So I'm going to add in just a pinch of garlic powder as well. And then about a 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. And then I'm just going to give that one good mix. And this smells so good. I can smell the garlic coming through really, really nicely. And then I'm just going to toss some of my wings in this butter mixture. So these went for probably about an extra 10 minutes in the air fryer, and they are crispy on both sides. I'm really, really happy with how these turned out. They're certainly not quite as crispy as if you deep fried them, but they are way healthier. So that's what and they're still really crispy, so I'm really happy with that. Now we're actually going to prepare these wings 3 different ways. We're going to leave some plain, because I think a few plain crispy wings are always a fantastic idea. But some of them, I'm going to toss a couple drums and a couple flats into each of my containers here. All right, now I've got some of each in my containers, and this is just by far the easiest way to sauce your wings. I'm gonna load up one container with some of that garlic Parmesan butter. And make sure your lid is sealed really, really tightly. We're gonna shake this pretty aggressively. And then a little bit of barbecue sauce in the other one. And of course, this also works wonderfully with hot sauce or whatever kind of sauce you want to put on these. And just shake it. If you shake it up and you flip it around, the sauce will get coated over all of the wings in your container really, really nicely. I think I put a little bit too much cheese in my garlic Parmesan because it doesn't want to separate, but it looks like it's kind of coming together. Ooh, and the barbecue sauce just coated super, super beautifully. All right, I am going to go ahead and get this all plated up, and then we can try our wings. And just like that, wings are done in the air fryer for about 20 minutes total. And you can kind of season them and sauce them and dress them however you like. I really like the garlic Parmesan from Wingstop, so always try to do something like that. It's just butter and garlic, a little bit of salt if you're using unsalted butter, and as much Parmesan as you like. I'm gonna give one of these plain ones a try. Cheers. They're seasoned nicely. They're so crispy on the outside, and I didn't have to heat up my oven. I didn't have to use my deep fryer, just a little bit of oil, and as long as they're dry before they go in, they are so, so good. I think I have to try one of the Parmesan ones too. That one's always my favorite. The garlic and the Parmesan on a nice crispy chicken wing is just absolutely fantastic. It's one of my all-time favorite flavors. These are so easy. They are so quick, and these are family friendly. Everybody always loves barbecue wings.